Hi guys, the episode that you're just about to listen to is generously sponsored by our affiliates Board Game Crate. Board Game Crate provide a monthly subscription service where they get fresh new games delivered straight to your door. Just head over to www.boardgamecrate.co.uk, and furthermore, if you use our discount code UnluckyFrogIsAwesome, all lowercase, all one word, you'll get a cheeky little discount. It's easy to remember because it's true. Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by two of your usual hosts here, Josh Hartley and Charlotte Porter.
Hello.
The less bearded half of the Porter family. How are we doing, Charlotte?
Thank you. That's an interesting description of me. I like to think that my lack of beard is not my defining feature.
It's not your defining feature, but it's certainly one that sets you and Ben apart.
That's good.
So.
That's good. Yeah. No, I'm good. Managed to remove or detach myself from my child for all of an hour, so that's good.
Nathaniel will be fine. He'll be strong. Will you be strong?
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
We'll be fine. And we're also joined by one half of Tip the Table Games, Stevie. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yes.
Good. So Steve's here to talk to us about their game that's up on Kickstarter right now.
Yes.
Right this second.
Yes.
One Survives.
Yes.
So we'll chat about that in a bit, but we've got some news items on the docket to cover off. So
we've got the big thing on the horizon, just to give a mention to, is obviously Essen Spiele. Will be happening at the end of the month.
Yes.
Now, we unfortunately will not be able to go because
we need to go at some point.
Yeah, we would love to go. I'd love to go, but thanks.
Probably not the right time.
Nope. So, of course, obviously, Essen Spiele or what is it, Potato on a Stick Con? If you're Rob.
Potato on a Stick Con.
Yeah, if you're Rob from I Play Red.
Okay, right.
Yes. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, to see what comes out of that. That's where a lot of the big releases come out of, isn't it? Out the sort of gaming calendar tends to be.
There's usually some big reveals, so we'll watch this space.
Yeah. And Ben was saying, actually, for the first time that Games Workshop are going to have a presence.
The first time?
Yeah. I was surprised by that too.
I'm actually shocked.
Yeah, it does seem a bit surprising.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Have you ever had the pleasure of popping along to Essen, Stevie?
Unfortunately, not. No, it looks like a wonderful experience, but I've not had a chance to get across yet.
Yeah, well, we're going to do it at some point.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when.
Yeah, it's on the bucket list.
Exactly. And I'm looking forward to finding out, because you seem to get little dribs and drabs between now and the convention starting of things that are going to be going on. So keep my eyes open from stuff that's happening. So looking forward to that.
But just some other notable things that have happened lately. GW have announced a partnership with Marvel Comics.
Yes. Now, what do you imagine that would entail?
Well, so unfortunately, I got really excited thinking GW are going to do a miniatures game with the Marvel license. No, it's the other way round.
Oh, okay.
Marvel Comics are doing a comic with a GW license, which is still cool.
Yeah.
Still cool, right? But I kind of wanted a little Spider-Man to paint.
To put in your...
I'm sure someone does it somewhere, to be fair. But GW have done their own comics in the past through Black Library.
Yeah.
I remember, in fact, Warhammer Monthly was something I used to buy as a kid.
Yeah.
Which had comics like Carl Jericho, which is set in Necromunda. So cool. I loved it. But Marvel aren't quite as grimdark as the GW universes are.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued as to what kind of direction it goes.
Well, I'm hopeful, but like you're saying, we'll need to wait and see what it's going to look like and what the stories are going to be, and
Yeah, so I think the final thing that we wanted to cover was one of our favourite games of the year.
Yes.
I'm not jumping the gun saying that, right?
Well, no, but then I realised that actually I don't think I've played many new games this year.
Oh, no.
It might be the only new game I've played this year.
No, we've played others, right?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think. Games that came out this year alone.
Guys, we'll get back to you on that one. But Wingspan have announced an expansion.
Yes, yeah.
European birds.
Yeah.
Charlotte, I haven't been this excited about birds since... Charlotte, I haven't been this excited about birds.
I know, right?
We were actually, Stevie, we were talking before we started recording about Wingspan. You were saying you were tempted to pick it up at Tabletop Scotland, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was kind of hovering round about it, and was very close to pulling the trigger and buy it, but time ran away with me, and we were quite busy. So, but it's certainly on my list to pick up.
Aye. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous game, and even with a ton of content to begin with, and now even more.
Yeah.
So
well, even the fact my sister came with me as chaperone to Tabletop Scotland, because obviously I had a 3-week-old baby.
Yeah.
In Czech, so she came with me. She's no interested in board games in any way whatsoever. But she was really taken by the artwork. I found her sneaking off at one point and being like, "Oh, look at this game!" And I've got it. And she's like, "You've got it?"
It's very striking. It's very striking.
Exactly, this is beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see. I just love the. But again, I never thought I'm interested in weird and sort of obscure things. But actually, I really enjoy reading the cards. There's always a wee bit of information.
A little tidbit about the bird.
Yeah. What's the one that we really like? Is it the turkey?
I got excited when I played a turkey, I'm not going to lie. Are you guys ready?
Yeah. And what would be in the because it's a European expansion, isn't it?
Right, now you're trying to pull on my non-existent knowledge of birds, so
yeah.
I have no idea. I've got a pal, though, my pal Tom, he is a ranger for the National Trust.
Oh, really?
So what he lives out on the Farne Islands, off the northeast coast of England.
The puffins?
Looking after puffins, yes.
That job.
Yeah.
Would he be... This is one thing I question. Would he be interested in this game because he works in that line of work? My brother is a massive train fanatic. He's always had train sets. He now works on the train lines. That's his job. And we were saying that he's one of the only people we know that actually took his childhood dream and made it a reality.
Tom's like that for me as well, because he's always been into nature and birds.
Yeah.
So I've got Tom playing board games in the past.
Yes.
Specifically, and not even like a light one. I got him playing Twilight Struggle because Tom and we did A-level history together. So we studied communism, and he finds it really interesting. So I think he would definitely give it a go.
Yeah.
The thing with Wingspan is mechanically doesn't have an awful lot to do with the birds.
No.
The birds are kind of just like the flavour of the game. But I still think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's a well-designed game, so there's no reason why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? So, looking forward to that. Do we have a release date for that?
Release date of November 22nd.
There we are. So you can get your feathers on that.
There we go. So get it in time at Christmas. But also, apparently, just looking at this, there will be some versions available at Essen Spiele.
Oh.
So if you are going, you can pick up an early copy.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Yes.
Awesome. Anyway, now that we've got the news bits and pieces out of the way, Stevie, you're here to talk about One Survives, which is currently live on Kickstarter.
Yes.
So Charlotte and we played this last year.
We spoke about it on the podcast in our Glasgow Games Fest roundup because we'd played the very, very, very first prototype, and if I even remember correctly, you had literally just sort of sat down 2 weeks earlier, had come up with the idea and started coming up with the cards and writing down the cards. and getting it all sorted, and you came to Glasgow Games Fest with a game.
Absolutely,
in mind by that
yeah,
point.
absolutely. So, the kind of backstory is my brother-in-law and I we were on holiday with our families. We've both got teenage sons, and we were struggling to find a game that we had with us that kind of captured the attention of our sons specifically.
Yeah.
They were horror fans. They know that they were 15 years old. They would kind of take a sideways glance at the games that we had in our bag, and so we thought, right, well, let's try and think of something that's going to be engaging for them, that they can contribute to, and we can talk about the different things that we might want to do. And we literally sat in an airport hotel with little bits of paper, coming up with a theme, coming up with the mechanics as we were kind of discussing the games that we like to play, and things that we could, leverage from different parts and try and bring it together to have a game of our own. So it was from that to the point where we first met yourselves. It was probably 3.5 weeks, and we went from having handwritten little pieces of paper blowing about in the breeze to handwritten cards. So it wasn't a massive evolution at that point, but we thought we had something. And so when we were going to go to Glasgow Games Festival anyway, so we thought, here's the chance to try it out on some people who aren't family members, don't have any skin in the game, and just to see if the idea had legs. So it was quite an interesting experience.
Yeah. So just as an overview for those who didn't listen to our episode last year, what describe the game? What is it? What's the premise? What do you do?
Sure. So the game itself is a set collection, kind of take that style card game. Very small form factor. It's themed around 80s classic horror. So a lot of the standard horror tropes that you'll have seen in some of your favourite horror movies are all there. It's the story behind it is it's a school trip, a school boat trip specifically, that runs aground on a seemingly deserted island, but things are not quite as they seem, and there's a killer on the island, and it's the killer's job to try and bump off the other players. And like I say, there's a set collection mechanic. And it's very much competitive. There's not much cooperation going on.
Yeah, that's certainly how our game played out. It was very much every man for themselves. Yeah. So going back to Glasgow Games Festival, when you've just took this new game, you've just created it. What was that experience like? What kind of feedback were you getting?
We went into it not knowing quite what to expect. I have to say, we had a little handwritten sign that said, playtesters wanted, and but people were so super friendly. They came over. They were genuinely interested in what we were trying to do. And once we started to talk to people about the concept behind it and the theme, we noted straight away that there seemed to be a gap in what was available. There was, a million zombie games. There was whatever the flavour of the month, there was loads of those, but there didn't seem to be this horror-themed game that scratched that particular itch for people. And so, that gave us a bit of confidence that we were on to something. And even just playing a couple of games with people as they came and sat down and gave us their feedback, it allowed us just to sort of tweak things that we maybe weren't quite sure about, or start to thinking about how to properly balance the game. Even from that point, things have changed a fair bit, but there's still a lot of that core game from 11 months ago that's still there.
Sure.
So it's good to see how it's came on.
You're absolutely right about the theme. By the way, I think that was one of the first things I said to Charlotte when we left the table. Was like, I can't think of another game off the top of my head that has the theme of 80s slasher films. Yeah. So, kudos for picking that out.
Thank you.
The thing that I came away with was the mechanic in it that you're trying to escape the island. It also gives you an element of control over the killer. You can sort of send slasher.
You can have the killer jump out at someone.
Yeah.
On a wild goose chase around the island.
No,
I love that.
Absolutely. And that was something that we kind of stumbled on right from the start. Was when a player is attacked by the killer, they've got to try and either defend themselves or run away, and so they're playing a card from their hand, essentially out of their turn. So they're a card down, and that makes the job of them trying to collect the set that little bit harder. And so they're there's a sort of element of danger that creeps in, because you don't want your hand to go so low that it becomes difficult for you to collect the component parts to get off the island.
Yeah. I do wonder, was there a version of the game, or was it an idea maybe very early on that one player would play the killer, or did you discount that quite quickly?
Do you know, it was something that we talked about, and we've played games where, you know, it's one versus the rest of the group, and some people like that, some people are not so keen. So what we thought was it's a game where everyone has the chance to upset the rest of the players. You know, throw a spanner on the works of their plan, and it's funny the number of times that you think you've got a strategy, you think it's working for you, somebody does something to you, and that just, you have to totally pivot and go for another way of trying to win. And having multiple win conditions, you know, a lot of people thought that it was perhaps going to be quite complicated, but at the core, it's not complicated at all. But there's a sort of level of hidden depth that you can kind of exploit. So it's proven to be quite, you know, explaining it to people can sometimes be a lot. Once they've got it, they've well and truly got it, and so it's been good for us.
So what I was going to say was, one of the things, obviously we'd seen it at Glasgow Games Fest. It was literally just white cards with the text written on it. There was nothing.
You had some sample art, I think.
Even at that point, no.
Do you know what's funny? Just all the imagination.
Yeah.
But we did catch a glimpse of the game at Tabletop Scotland, and it seems to have come so far that the what you have gone for in terms of the artwork is absolutely stunning. So I was just even looking through the Kickstarter page itself, all the blood splatter, all the sort of very iconic, like you're saying, sort of 80s tropes and things like that really come through in the artwork of the cards. Yeah,
we're nothing if not thematic.
Yes,
you know, yes. We really kind of lean on it because, you know, it is popular. It's certainly got an audience. But that's something that we started talking to artists, and we were really keen for the game to have striking artwork. You know, it's all hand drawn digital artwork, totally original. There was part of me was thinking, you know, we could go quickly, we could try and move quicker and use kind of stock art and things like that, but you don't get the same feel that way.
Yeah.
And so we chose this approach, and we've worked with some, you know, the artists that we've worked with have been absolutely fantastic, and it really brings the game to life, in my opinion.
You've gone for a very realistic art style. You know, you could have opted for a sort of comical,
like over the top gore,
stuff, which is quite common in a lot of the sort of horror themed games you get nowadays.
Looking at the zombie side,
you get sort of very animate, which then sort of lessens the impact of the horror a bit because there's a sort of comical element. But yours is very, very realistic, but still doesn't create a sense of. Or does create a sense of fear. Which I'm just looking at the bloodied axe right now. I'm eyeing you up, bloodied axe.
Yeah. So, I'm looking at the art, and do you know what? It evokes very much Friday the 13th for me. What's the summer camp they're at Friday the 13th? You know what I'm on about?
Absolutely. The name escapes me too. I've seen that film so many times, and it's going to annoy me tremendously.
Lake something or
other. It's Crystal something.
Crystal Lake.
Yeah, it's something along that line.
Yeah,
for sure. But you know, something that we liked was we've got there's cards that have the same location, but one of them moves you there, and the other one moves the killer there. And what we wanted to do was have this real a differentiated view of it. When you're there, it's fine, it's light. you're on an island that it looks beautiful at times, and then when it's the killer's turn to be in that particular location, the whole kind of feel of it changes, and it becomes much more ominous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. No, and so obviously the Kickstarter is up. How long's the Kickstarter up for?
So it's running for a month. It started on the 1st of October, and to be totally in theme, ends on Halloween. 5 minutes to
I
midnight.
wouldn't expect
on Halloween.
anything less.
Oh,
Excellent.
it was too good an opportunity to turn down. It really was.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And when are you hoping to get the product into people's hands?
So we've looked at the timescales. We think we can have it delivered by December.
Wow.
We're working on completing the art. Once some of the funding from the Kickstarter allows us to get there. We've got a large chunk of the artwork done, but we just need to get that over the line. And we've been in contact with printers. We've got a good arrangement lined up, and we've used them for doing some test decks, and they've been able to turn those around very quickly. So fingers crossed, everything goes to plan. It should be in people's hands for December time.
Fantastic.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially because we've been talking about in the past as well that a lot of Kickstarters, I think the last conversation we had around Kickstarter was how I've been put off backing a lot of games that you maybe have to wait 2 years for.
Yeah.
And there's no, it's a big ask, to put down this money up front for something that might be 2 years down the line. 2 months, I can get behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
Get behind that.
Exactly.
So I'm just having a look at the Kickstarter just now, and I noticed that you've actually got some of your higher pledges give you the opportunity to be in the game.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's 6 characters that are players can either choose or they can randomly draw them from the deck. And what we thought would be good would be to give people the ability to have their their likeness in the game. So it's I think at the time that we're talking just now, I think 3 of the characters, or maybe even 4 of the characters, have gone. So there's a few left. But it's just a novel way for people to become part of something that you don't really get that chance to have your likeness as part of a game that's going to be available. So we thought it'd be quite interesting.
Really nice about it because actually our cat Sylvester is the burglar cat in Kitty Cataclysm.
Yeah, I remember this.
Stuff by Bez.
Yeah.
So, and that's great. We just love it that we know that every time I see it, I'm like, Sylvester's in that. That's Sylvester. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, there's Sylvester.
Yeah.
So having yourself in a game, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd love that. Awesome. I'd love that. Do you think I'd make a good cheerleader?
I think you make the best cheerleader. Seeing you now with your bunchies and your pom-poms. I can't unsee this now, Josh.
I'm sorry. For the benefit of listeners and Stevie as well, for that matter, I'm wearing normal guy clothes, and my hair is not in bunches.
So he says.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So we've talked a lot about what inspired the theme and where that came from, but in terms of the gameplay and the mechanics, you mentioned obviously it's set collection, it's take that as well. So what did you draw on inspiration wise for that?
It's actually quite a tough question to answer. What we really wanted, the main kind of idea that we had was really about that people were in control of what they were doing while also trying to negatively impact the people they're playing against. It's kind of a sick and twisted way. Especially if you're playing with family and friends, who doesn't like getting one up on someone. It was really we didn't really think about actually lifting mechanics and trying to merge them together. What we really wanted to do was come up with a way of giving someone a clear way to win, while also, like I say, also being able to throw that spanner in the works for the people they're playing against.
You're right. It is like the most satisfying thing, and particularly like now because there's loads of co-op games around where you're supposed to get on, but
I like the fact, though, I suppose I don't normally like games that are competitive like that, but I think the fact that going into the game, you know that is...
you know the score.
Yeah, right from the beginning. I hate games where it's like, whoa, are they going to be your buddy or not? Because I just, don't have patience for that.
We've nearly fallen out over that.
You either
sort
like
of
me or
thing.
you don't. Don't dick on me halfway through. Because I will make you pay. Mm-hmm. Josh can testify to that.
Yeah, don't mess with Charlotte. She will destroy you in-game.
Yes.
So, obviously you mentioned that part of the reason that you both started this project was both of your sons had this mutual admiration for 80s horror. So what I want, if you were going to be the teacher, what's the homework assignment here? What movies do I need to watch to get into this?
Do you know what? We've tried to avoid focusing in on one particular horror franchise and just try to give it a really, dark feel across the board. I think you're quite right that Friday the 13th, the Halloween series, we've kind of tipped our hat towards that. But nothing too close to that mark. But anyway.
No, exactly. So I personally, I always love Evil Dead.
Yeah,
as well. Obviously, it's a zombie film, kind of.
I just love. I love how I just love how it progressed from being semi-serious for Evil Dead, got a little bit crazy Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness is just bonkers.
Yeah.
2's my favourite one.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, 2 is my favourite of the whole lot. It's basically 90 minutes of Bruce Campbell going nuts.
Who wouldn't want that?
No, absolutely.
Who would not want
exactly.
That? Yeah.
Perfect film, 10 out of 10.
Well, the other thing that comes, that just sort of looking at the artwork and stuff, I'm just thinking, is there thoughts to maybe release a soundtrack to go along with it?
Do you know what? We've not even thought about that, but that's wonderful.
Awesome.
Having an app that you can just press and just pipes in, mood music. That would be.
We do that. Yeah, when we're playing Betrayal.
Yeah.
When we're playing, what other? There's a couple of games we've done it with. Pandemic, we've done that for. Quite suspenseful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think actually, if you had proper sort of eerie music in the background, just to add that degree of suspense.
There's got to be a soundboard out there, right? That just whenever you move, the killer can just go.
That would be wonderful.
What's happening? Yeah. But in a good way. It's not going to turn into some atmosphere or something.
I love atmosphere. It's terrible, but it's wonderful.
Yes.
All of those videos are available on YouTube. If you ever just want to watch an hour long, a timer counting down, and then every now and again a face shouting at you, check it out on YouTube.
We played it last year on our live stream. That was our live stream. Atmosphere.
Magic.
We had the VHS.
Yeah, it was Kenny Lee and Lawrence from Dice Roll Cafe had looked out their video recorder and their VHS.
I think we had to borrow one.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like I don't know where I'd get a VHS player from anymore.
Yeah. But it was brilliant, and I just remember the last 10 minutes being so tense.
Yeah.
Oh,
so frantic. But it's an awful game.
Oh no, absolutely.
It's so bad.
It was totally sold to you. The adverts for it at the time were fantastic. In terms of innovation, kudos to them for coming up with something that's people are still talking about now.
Yeah,
that's true.
I just remember it funny though because obviously they pick out characters, so it was like the youngest one,
the young one,
and that was Ben.
Yeah.
Probably looks like the most intimidating out of all of us, but here was this guy trying to belittle him on the.
And conversely, I think Kenny was the eldest out of the lot of us, and you'd have put Ben and no disrespect to your husband, but you'd have put Ben and Kenny the other way around if you were to look at them.
It's the beard.
Yeah, the beard. I
always comes back to the beard.
I cannot imagine Ben without a beard.
Well, maybe share a picture of his driving licence,
Oh, no, don't do that.
It's not got a beard on
guy.
it. It's not got a beard on it at all.
Yeah, well, my driver's license is awful as well. So, like, you know, if your driver's license doesn't have an awful photo of you from your teens, is it really your driver's license?
Or makes you look like a serial killer.
Or makes you look like a serial killer, indeed. Or both.
Very true. Very true.
Anyway, so just before we go, Stevie, if people are wanting to find out more and take part in the Kickstarter, where can they find more information?
Absolutely. So we're across all social media platforms as One Survives. So at One Survives on Twitter and Instagram. Also available on Facebook as One Survives. And if you search for One Survives on Kickstarter, we're the number one hit. So you don't have to scroll too far to find us.
And of course, we'll have all of the relevant links in the show notes below.
That would be fantastic.
Well.
That would be fantastic. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think on that note,
yes,
guys, that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for listening. And until next time, take care. Bye.
Bye.